But you didn't finish at Fayetteville State, if I'm correct, right?
No, didn't finish at Fayetteville State. There's a
Okay.
few
What
different
made
reasons.
you what made you transition, and where did you go after that?
So the initial thought of me transferring was not even in my head at the time. But then I had one of the guys, he came up to me. I ain't gonna lie. He came up, his exact words, he was like, hey, Ozzy, you're really talented, right? This may not be the best school for you right now. Because of the simple fact that, and this is one of the athletes that was talking to me, because my coach had transferred. So my coach Maynard at the time, he transferred and went to Winston-Salem State.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, I was like, you know what, maybe you're right. So, I really like his style of play. So I'm like, well, let me just transfer to Winston-Salem State, which is D2 to D2. But I guess I waited too long to be able to actually reach out to Coach Maynard and Winston-Salem State and say, hey, let me transfer. And they said, hey, John, where are you going to sit out a year? I said, well, hey, I really don't want to sit out a year. Like, that's a long time to be out of sports. So then I called North Carolina Central, and we talked to Coach Risen for a little while, and I was going to transfer from Fayetteville State to go play football at North Carolina Central because in my head, I'm still a football player. But then Coach Risen got fired. So now I'm kind of like sitting back rethinking the situation. I'm like, okay, North Carolina Central, that's a whole new situation now. I don't even know that guy at all. My coach is gone. And then I remember the words that the one recruiter, Coach Vault, told me at the time, like, hey, if you ever need an opportunity to come run track at Charlotte, let me know. I got on the website. He was still the coach. So, hey, I reached out to him. Like, hey, I know you told me this 2 years ago, but does that still stand? Can I get a spot on the team? Like, I still got my track times, all that. I'm a little bit heavier now, but, the ability is there. Like, and he said, John, like I told you before, I got a spot for you. So he opened that door up, and then that's more so how I ended up at Fayetteville.
At Fayetteville or at UNC Charlotte? Okay, at UNC Charlotte. Okay.
So it wasn't my first choice. It was really my third choice.
But I talk about how relationships matter, and even short interactions or short relationships in the past can impact you in the future. Because it sounds like the name is Coach Vault.
Yeah, Coach Vault.
So Coach Vault met you 2 years previous, 3 years previous. I'm guessing that you guys didn't chat every single day for 2 years.
No, I never spoke to him again.
Okay. But what is the importance of always putting a good foot forward and developing a good relationship and leaving a good mark on people?
Yeah, it meant everything. Like I said, we may have had that conversation for maybe 5 seconds. I might call him right now and say, hey, Coach Vault, do you remember this? He might not even remember it. But me being 16, 17 years old, it stuck with me. I'm like, well, that's still a nice school. It's still a big school. And I remembered it. It never, ever faded. I'm telling you, the conversation couldn't have been very long. But that relationship, it meant everything to me at the time.
And so you get to UNC Charlotte, and you're a big football player. And so then what happens next?
So now I'm on campus, and I actually transferred in the middle of the year. So I played 2 football seasons at Fayetteville State. Once that season ended in the fall, I transferred to UNC Charlotte for the spring semester. So now I'm transferring, which is directly in the smack dab middle of track season. They've already competed in their first indoor meet, and now I'm on campus. So now I have to catch up. I really got to rely on my athletic abilities to try to get there. And then what Vault didn't tell me was that just because you're on the team does not mean that you're going to travel all the time. He didn't tell me that part.
Well, talk about that. What does that mean? Because again, this is for the athletes coming up that may not understand the inside game. So what does that mean?
So in order to travel, you have to be the top such and such. So say UNC Charlotte will travel with maybe 4 or 5 sprinters, or however many sprinters they're traveling with. You have to be in that top group of athletes to travel to these different meets. So come indoor season, I'm trying to get in shape. I'm doing what I can do. And now I'm realizing that once again, I might be like, this situation might not be the best situation for me because these guys are so fast, and I feel like now I'm heavier. I'm far behind now. How long is it going to take me to catch up to these guys? Like when I got there, Sam Jordan was there, and he's running 6'6", 6'7" in the 60-meter dash, and I'm sitting back looking like, yo, this is amazing. Like, I know I ain't that fast, right? So, but to be able to make that travel team, it was tough. You had to beat out guys who had been training for not 1 year but 3 or 4 years in college, and that's no easy feat because they want it just as bad as you do.
Got it.
So we trained. I made a couple of indoor meets, but then come the indoor conference meet that very first year, I didn't travel. They left me at conference. For the conference track meet, I got left. And I told call my father, like, man, this will never happen again. So we transitioned to outdoor, and I never missed another meet nowhere after that one. That was my one and only major meet that I missed due to not being, good enough or in shape enough.
So why, I guess a simple question, why not quit? Why not transfer? A lot of times today, even on the youth level, if a player gets cut, if a player doesn't start or doesn't get the position that they want,
Right.
they leave.
Yeah,
right?
transfer to different schools.
Why, where did this nobility come from? Why stay? Why not go somewhere else and be like, nah, I'm going to run here?
Yeah, like I said, my father was a military guy. So instead of really running from stuff, we typically run to it. So if there's guys here who's better than me, that's understandable. You're not always going to be the best athlete wherever you go. But what you can do is work harder than everybody. And then whatever happens in between. Like, that's out of your control. I put forth the effort. If I so happen to get better than you, then boom, now I'm better than you. So I went into kind of more so with the football mentality, like, you guys are not better than me. I'm going to take your spot. Like, this right here, I'm not getting left no more. I can promise you that. So whatever happens, and I'm not transferring no more. Like, that wasn't the option. I'm at the Division I level. We're running track. I'm good. I like the school. I like the environment. Now everything else is up to me. Like, I must get better because I was barely good enough to really be at UNC Charlotte. So where else am I transferred to? Like, I can't call the Virginia Tech coach like, hey, let me transfer to you. And I wasn't transferring back down nowhere. Like, this is it. Like, I got to make this work.
Got it. I respect it, and I hope others do too. So you're running with UNC Charlotte. What are some highlights of that time? Did you win any championships? Did you set any records, top 10 lists, things like that?
Yeah, so UNC Charlotte, we got a chance to run at the regional track meet up at Indiana University, my very first outdoor season. We ran the 4x1 relay. It was me, Reggie, Darius Law, Sam Jordan, and that right there was an amazing, probably one of the better experiences, especially with that being my first experience at a large meet like that, to be able to get out there and compete. I think we may have finished. We definitely wasn't top because we didn't qualify for nationals that year. I forget the exact placement, but we still may have finished like 15th or 16th in the country, which is, hey, that's not bad for a kid who's just fresh off the football field.
Right.
Then that year, I believe we also followed up with the Atlantic 10 championship. So at the time, the Atlantic 10, it changed so much. But you had schools like maybe Duquesne, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, schools down that side, we was all in the same conference.
Okay. So it sounds like you just had a successful time at UNC Charlotte. And how long were you at UNC Charlotte?
So I actually ran track for 4 years at UNC Charlotte.
Okay.
One of the few guys who I played 2 years of football and 4 years of track, all within 5 years.